My wife violated our marriage vows and the law. Is Heather right? I asked myself this question after I finished typing everything that came to mind about my marriage to her. Would I be able to tolerate her so-called need to have two husbands? That question plagued me for about half a second. No, she is not right. She cheats on me for 6 months or more with some rat-faced, disgusting asshole, marries this clown in some New Age ceremony in Colorado, and then comes home and expects me to just accept it, claiming she still loves me. On top of that, she thinks she can get her way by giving me sex, or rather letting me take it from her, and so far she's been successful. And then it hit me, like one of those moments when the V8 hits me over the head. She's lashing out at me, using sex as a weapon. She knows how attracted I am to her and how she turns me on. Guess what? It's going to end right now, I thought to myself. I looked at one of the wedding pictures we had framed on the wall. Noah and Heather Harrison. The caption on the photo read, "In case you haven't guessed, I'm Noah." With a wave of my hand, I sent the photo flying. It's not like we've been married 20 years and she's going through a phase or suffering from empty nest syndrome. It's certainly not because I'm traveling, because I'm not. We've only been married for 2 years, and for a quarter of that time she's been cheating on me with that Pied Piper Steve. Wait a minute, I thought to myself. Why didn't I notice this before? If she's really married, I mean with a marriage license and all, then she's broken the law. And since she did, there must be a license or certificate somewhere in her things. I went through her stuff, not caring where it went after I pulled it out of the boxes she hadn't unpacked yet. Then I found it, a small manila envelope. When I opened it, I found a marriage certificate between Heather Simpson and Steve McKenzie and a small stack of photos. Simpson is Heather's maiden name. She must have used her driver's license as identification. The driver's license wasn't due for renewal until her birthday, which was in 3 months, and it still listed her maiden name and old address. She was required by law to change her name within 90 days of our wedding, but for some reason she never did. Looking at the certificate, I found the URL for the county where it was issued. I fired up my browser and went to the address on the certificate. It took a little time, but I found a notice certifying that they were married. I did another search and found out that bigamy is a Class 6 felony in Colorado. According to the law, any married person who, while not married, marries, enters into a civil union, or cohabits in this state with another person, commits bigamy. If convicted, she faces a minimum sentence of 1 year in prison and a $1,000 fine. The maximum, according to the site I read, is 18 months in jail and a $100,000 fine. I hope you like wearing orange, Heather, I said to no one in particular as I searched the site for a way to report it. I found an email address and sent a quick message referring to their marriage record. After sending the email, I turned to the small stack of photos in the envelope. They looked so in love, Steve and Heather. In one of the pictures, they were captured with their faces interlocked, looking into the camera with wide smiles on their faces. I stared at the photo for quite some time, letting my anger build. As I studied the photo, I began to notice different things. They were little things, but the more I looked into it, the more alarmed I became. Sure, I had seen them together when they came to the apartment, but I had never taken the time to study their faces. Now I wondered what else they were hiding from me. If my intuition was right, and it usually was, I needed to get a DNA sample from both of them. But how? I searched and found a local lab that does DNA tests, called and arranged to get a test kit. The next thing I had to figure out was how to get a sample from both cheaters. I reviewed my notes and decided that now was the time to act. I called and was able to make an appointment with Lisa Hawkins, the attorney, this afternoon. I closed the notebook and put the certificate and photos back in the envelope. I decided to take it with me to the attorney's office. I grabbed the folder with our bank documents and headed for the exit. After grabbing a bite to eat, I headed to Lisa's office. I planned to pick up the DNA test kit after the meeting. When I got there, an attractive brunette led me into Ms. Hawkins's inner sanctum. Lisa stood up, and we shook hands. So you've decided to get a divorce, she said. Yes, I answered her. I thought this might interest you, I added, handing her Heather and Steve's marriage certificate. She furrowed her eyebrows as she looked at the paper. But she's already married to you, Lisa said. Yes, she is, I said. She used her maiden name and I checked. It's legitimate. No, it's not, Lisa said. It can be written down, but it's not legal. It's called bigamy. Every state has different penalties for it, and in our state it's a third-degree felony. She faces up to 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. What about Steve? I asked. The same goes for him, as long as he knew you and Heather were married now, she said. I see that it was done in Colorado. Does that matter? I asked. Well, Colorado is one of the easiest states to get married in, she said. There's no waiting period, no residency requirements, and they don't even require a blood test. They can even have their own ceremony if they want. All that really matters is paying the fee, signing and filing the certificate within the allotted time frame. And what do you suggest I do? If it were me, I'd report it to the authorities, and then divorce her. But that's just my opinion, she said. The big question is, can you live with that? No, I said. There's no way I can live with it. Good, she said. As a representative of the court, I have no choice but to report this to the authorities. If I were you, I would sever all physical relations with her. If you have sex with her, the court may see that as tacit approval of her actions. I can start the paperwork, but I won't file it until after she's taken into custody. That'll give us some leverage. Looking at your financial records, I see you two don't have a lot of money. There are no children or real estate, so that makes things a lot easier. She's getting me to agree to her new arrangement, and it's driving me crazy. Is there anything you can do to keep her away from me? I asked. Well, I can ask for a temporary restraining order, she said. If she's in jail, it might become academic. Do what you need to do, I said. Okay, she said. I'll start doing it right now. There's one more thing that's been bugging me, I said. What's that? She asked. I pulled out a picture of Heather and Steve and held it out to her. She stared at it as I spoke. Is it just me? Or do you see some family resemblance between them? I asked. I take it this is your wife and her lover? Asked Lisa. Yes, that's them, I told her. She looked at the picture carefully before saying something. Well, he's certainly not the most attractive man I've ever seen, but yes, I can see some resemblance. Do you think they're related? I'm beginning to think so, I said. I plan to buy a DNA test kit when I'm done here. But how are you going to get their DNA? You don't think they're just going to voluntarily give it to you, do you? She asked. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, I said. Then perhaps you should have me do it, she said with a smile. When do you want to get into action? The sooner the better, I said. Do you know where she'll be in the next 12 to 18 hours? Yeah. She said she's staying with Steve tonight, I told her. She smiled when I gave her Steve's address. Leave it to me, she said with a mischievous glint in her eyes. I thanked her, paid the hefty fee, and headed back to the apartment. Once there, I repacked Heather's stuff, or rather, stuffed her junk back into boxes and bags. Then I called her parents and told them about the divorce. What? Asked Linda, her mother, shocked. Yeah. She went to Colorado and married another guy, and she really expects me to be okay with that, I said. I've already packed her things, but she refuses to leave. Would you guys mind coming over and picking them up? Yeah, sure, Linda said. We'll be right over. Half an hour later, Linda and her husband Greg were at the apartment. I explained everything I could to them and showed them a copy of Heather's marriage certificate from Colorado. What is going on with this girl? Asked Greg. By the way, do you have a picture of this guy? Linda asked. Sure, I said, holding out a picture of Heather and Steve to her. She looked at it carefully and showed it to Greg. Is this who I think it is? She asked him. He looked at the picture carefully before saying something. It's been 24 years and he's certainly changed a lot, but it looks like it could be him, Greg said. Who looks like him? I asked. Heather's twin brother, said Linda. I looked at them, shocked. What? Did you say twin brother? Heather has a twin? Does she know about it? Yes and no, Linda said. Heather has a twin brother. She doesn't know about him yet, but she probably does now. Okay, now I'm officially confused, I said. We adopted Heather as an infant, Linda said. Her mother was a street vagrant. She was also a drug addict. She died shortly after she gave birth to 2 children, a boy and a girl. We adopted the girl and named her Heather. The boy was adopted by a family from Colorado. We saw a picture of him when he was very young. I'm sorry to say it, but he was just as ugly then as he is now. And you say they got married in Colorado? Asked Greg. I nodded my head. Yes, they supposedly went to Colorado for some obstacle course competition, but they actually visited his parents and then got married somewhere in the middle of nowhere. His parents even paid for their honeymoon suite. According to her, it was like magic, like they were destined to be together or some other nonsense, I said. Linda listened intently, and then her eyes widened. Oh my God, she said quietly. What? Asked Greg. I've read about it, but I've never seen it with my own eyes, she said. Read about what? Asked me. Linda was a psychologist who specialized in married couples. She considered herself much more than a marriage counselor and tried to refrain from using the term. It's called genetic love drive, Linda said. Allegedly, it occurs between family members who break up at an early age and meet as adults. There is actually no evidence that this is a real phenomenon, and most experts dismiss the idea as pseudoscientific. Nevertheless, it is quite a complex issue, and there are those who believe there is something to the idea. Do you think Heather and Steve might be experiencing this attraction? I asked. If they really are twins, it's possible, she said. Noah, if that's the case, Heather needs your help and support. You need to be there for her to help her get rid of this attraction. No, I said. I can't do that, Linda. Why not? Don't you love her? She asked. It's not about loving her, Linda, I said. She's been cheating on me with that asshole for 6 months now. That's a quarter of the time we've been married. No one forced her. No one drugged her. On top of that, she's lying to me, going off to Colorado with this guy and marrying him. Worse, she expects me to be okay with it. She says she needs both of us. It feels like she's overdosed on stupid pills or something. But there's one very big problem. She broke the law, Greg said. Exactly, I said. Not only did she break our marriage vows, she broke the law. She knew exactly what she was doing when she signed that paper, and she refuses to realize what she did was wrong. Linda nodded her head, but it was obvious she was hurt. Did Heather know she was adopted? No, we never told her, Greg said. Well, she'll find out soon enough, I said. Are you going to arrest her, Noah? Asked Linda. It's out of my hands, Linda, I said. My lawyer said that in this state what she did is a Class 3 felony. It could result in a 10-year prison sentence. Linda burst into tears, and Greg put his arm around her as she sobbed. Isn't there any way you can put this behind you? Asked Linda through her tears. I shook my head. Under the circumstances, no, I said. Can't say I blame him, honey, Greg said. It would be one thing if she'd been drugged or used, but clearly that's not the case. You saw her signature on the certificate. You saw her face in that photograph. She intentionally used her maiden name and hid the fact that she was already married. That's fraud, any way you look at it. Did you turn on her too? Asked Linda. No, but I can't turn a blind eye to it, and you know it. I work for the county sheriff's office, but I have lawyers I know, and I'll make sure she gets the defense she deserves, he said. Linda nodded her head. Good, she said. Thanks for that, at least. We'll take Heather's things back to our place, Noah, Greg said. She can stay with us if the judge lets her out on bail. I'm sorry about what happened. It's not your fault, Greg, I said. They gathered her things and left the apartment. I ate dinner and watched TV, but didn't pay much attention to what was on. At about 6:30, I got a phone call. "What has gotten into you?" yelled Heather. "Did you get me arrested? Why?" "For starters, you broke the law. Don't you know that bigamy is considered a felony in this state?" "I thought you were supposed to be smart," I said. "I guess you're not as smart as you thought you were, huh?" "What makes you think I committed bigamy?" she asked. "Your signature on a marriage license in Colorado, you ignorant cheater," I said. "Yes, I found it. I also checked, and your illegal marriage to Steve was already registered." "So why did they take a DNA sample?" she asked. "To check something," I said. "To check what?" she asked. "Whether Steve is your twin brother," I said. She awed. "No way," she said. "You know I'm an only child." "Really? Maybe you should talk to your parents." "What are you talking about?" she asked. "Just this. And no, I'm not bailing you out of jail," I said. "What's more, I'm divorcing you. Maybe now you'll believe me when I tell you I'm done with you. Goodbye, Heather. Don't call me again." With those words, I hung up the phone. The last thing I heard were her sobs, but I felt nothing for her. Heather and Steve ended up staying in jail. The prosecutor convinced the judge that they were both potential escapees. Greg made good on his promise and found her a good lawyer. But he wasn't good enough. DNA tests revealed that Steve and Heather were actually siblings. Heather claimed she had no idea they were related, but Steve broke down under questioning and admitted he knew they were related before he started stalking her. They were both found guilty of bigamy, and Steve was also convicted of fraud. After the verdict, I visited Heather, as Linda suggested I meet with her, if only to end our relationship. Even after all was said and done, and knowing that Steve was her twin brother, she still claimed it was magic, and everything would have been fine between the three of us if I hadn't been so pig-headed about her infidelity. "You haven't thought about kids?" I asked. "Steve and I talked about it and decided that you would be on record as the father no matter who I got pregnant by," she said. "He admitted he wasn't really cut out for it." "And you two decided that without even consulting me," I said. Wow. About that time, a sheriff's deputy came up to her and handed her the divorce papers. Even though she knew it was coming, she burst into tears anyway. "Why?" she asked. "I don't love you anymore," I said. "Or rather, you've eaten away all my love for you with your twin brother. I hope it was worth it for you." I got up to leave. "Goodbye, Heather." I turned and walked away, hearing her sobs behind me. The next day, they were both brought in for the reading of the verdict. For starters, their Colorado marriage was declared null and void, and the state refused extradition because our home state had much harsher penalties for what the two of them had done. Heather received 7 years in state prison, and Steve was sentenced to 25 years. Steve received a harsher sentence because Heather's attorney convinced the judge that she didn't know he was her twin brother, while he knew she was his sister and stalked her anyway. Jada and Keith, Heather's 2 friends, managed to get back together after all the sordid details of the relationship between Heather and Steve came out. Jada, in fact, was the one who told me about Heather and Steve. They kept setting me up on blind dates to take my mind off of what Heather had done, but I realized I had serious trust issues. Oddly enough, the person who helped me the most was Linda. That's right, Heather's mom. At first, she pressured me to try to reconcile, but by the time all the testimony became public, she had changed her point of view. It took another 6 months after the divorce was finalized, but she finally got it into my head that not all women are like Heather. I continued dating, and a year later I met Lisa. She was burned out over her husband's cheating, and she and I were able to find common ground. I'm not sure where this is going, but so far things are looking good. And she assures me there are no twin brothers in the closet. The end? Subscribe to my channel. Thank you!